The biggest creator to fall off Forbes' list of the top 50 creators in 2025 was XQC. You can see that he was 28th last year, and that was based on these estimates by Forbes. $36 million estimated earnings, 14.3 million total followers, that's across all social media platforms, and then average engagement of 0.08% is rather poor, and entrepreneurship score, which measures how well you're building a business as opposed to doing advertising for other brands. He got a 1 out of 4, so the worst possible score on that. But ultimately, Forbes decided that his performance was sufficient to give him 28th spot on the top 50 creators of 2024. Now the question is, what's changed between 2024 and 2025 that he's no longer on the list? And not just not on the list, but you see that there is a creator, many creators that have far worse estimated earnings in 2025 than what XQC had in 2024, and fewer total followers as well. So something must have changed quite substantially for XQC for him to no longer be on this list. If we look at his YouTube data, because it could be a proxy for what's happening, we know he's not primarily a YouTuber, he streams on Twitch and Kick and I don't know, lots of other stuff, but he's got over 2 million subscribers on YouTube, so it's a meaningful way of distributing his media. And if we look at his performance well, we can see immediately that his views are coming from longs, not shorts. I mean, 4% from shorts, but mainly his YouTube volumes are coming from long videos. And if we look at the total long form videos he's been putting out per month, it hasn't fallen. You know, it's maybe there are a couple higher months back in July 2024, June 2024 as well. But on average, it's been constant over the period. That's sort of the long-term average, and very high as well, right? Like over 2 per month. Sorry, over 2 per day, right? Over 60 per month. So he's putting out a lot of content on YouTube. And in terms of average views per video, you can see that is declining. In fact, it's been declining for quite a long time, not just in the last 12 months, but it goes back further than that. And so, yeah, maybe there's something here about him losing a little bit of popularity, but there's nothing really in his YouTube data to indicate why he would have dropped from 28th spot, earning $36 million, to not even featuring in the top 50. So I think the XQC story isn't so much about popularity and viewership, but something more on the commercial side. I know that he signed a really big deal with Kick back in mid-2023, and I think there's some mixed reviews on how well he's performing against that contract. So maybe Forbes haven't baked in a lot of those revenues to their estimate for 2025, where they did possibly do so for 2024, and that's why he dropped off the list. Zach King is different though. You can see, well, let's load his data into this tool. So this takes about 10 seconds to load his data, and you can see already over 40 million subscribers on YouTube. So YouTube is a meaningful way for him to distribute his media, and mostly shorts, right? If we have a look at all of his data, let's go to the whole period, you can see he's actually produced more long form videos than shorts over his whole period, but most of his views are come from shorts. And that's because he started his YouTube channel back in 2013 before there were shorts. So even if he did have short form videos, they were horizontal and they were just shorts, but they weren't regarded as a short. They were a long form video of short duration. But anyway, what we're interested in is the last few years to see why he has gone from being in the top 50, in fact 29th in the position last year, to not being in it at all. So looking at his long form video performance isn't actually going to tell us anything, because everything that he's doing, at least recently, is coming from shorts. So let's go to his short form videos, and we can see that in the last 12 months, yes, he has maybe reduced the number of shorts produced per month. I mean, actually more just in the last 5 months, right? Before that, it was holding, you know, if you ignore these two huge skyscraper outliers in March 2024 and April 2024, if you ignore that, it's mostly been constant all the way up until a few months ago, where it started to maybe see a bit more of a decline to 4 or 5 per month. But the real problem isn't that he's outputting fewer videos. is that they're getting fewer views. So you can really see this massive reduction in viewership for his content, even if he's still producing it. I mean, still getting millions of views per video, but not, tens of millions or 100 million or, half a billion, over half a billion, 2/3 of a billion almost. So you can see that there has been a massive reduction in viewership for his content. One thing I would say is that it probably hasn't kicked in the last 12 months only. It started kicking in 2 years ago and then, especially in the last year. So maybe the most we can say is not that dropping from 29th to being off the list was unwarranted, but maybe his 29th position last year was overestimating or was baking in some sort of a return to his previous year's volumes, and then it didn't happen, and so they dropped him off the list entirely. If we start looking up the list to the creators that did make the cut, something that's interesting is Arsho Speed came in at 42nd, and he had estimated earnings of 20 million, total followers of 118 million, an engagement ratio of 30.89%, that's ridiculously high, and an entrepreneurship score of 3, which is pretty high, right? Like there's only 1 point higher that he could be. And so that's really good. I mean, he's a new entrant to the list, and he came in at 42nd with really good stats. What's a bit puzzling about those stats, though, is that they're better than creators above him. You can see immediately above him is Livvy Dunn with a quarter of the revenue, 10%, well, 15%, 14% of the total followers, 5% of the engagement ratio, and an equivalent entrepreneurship score. So that's the only one where that Livvy Dunn performs as well as Arsho Speed. Otherwise, she does worse and by a long way on all the other metrics. So how come Livvy Dunn is ranked 41st and Arsho Speed is ranked 42nd? I mean, the only thing to draw from this is that the Forbes rankings are based on something in addition to these 4 variables that they've told us about. However, they've made a composite score, which one gets more of a weighting. Like, I don't know, but we know for sure there's no way of creating a composite score from these 4 data points that would result in Livvy Dunn having a higher rating than Arsho Speed. So there must be something coming from outside of these 4 metrics that informs the ranking. I don't know what it is. They don't say so in the article. If we keep on going up the list, you can see there's a new entrant at 31st. Who's that? Devin Rodriguez. And we keep going up. 22nd position is also a new entry. But the highest new entry is in 11th place. That's Stephen Bartlett. He is the presenter and owner of The Diary of a CEO. And, does lots of other stuff. So let's have a look at his YouTube data to see how he's doing. While that loads, we can see that he's come in with $29 million in estimated earnings, 25 million followers, 0.5% in average engagement, but the top rated entrepreneurship score, which makes sense. I mean, he was on Dragon's Den, so if he gets anything lower than a 4, that would be an embarrassment. But he's come in 11th place, and, the data's still loading. But yeah, over 10 million subscribers on YouTube, so it's a really important way that he distributes his media. He's made, let's do all time so we know. Over 400 uploads, almost starting to hit 1 billion total views. All of it's coming from long form. He doesn't have a single short on his channel. And we can see from his long form videos that for a while, up until March 2022, February 2022, he had produced basically a video a week, very, very consistently. And then overnight from March 2022, he just doubles it up to 2 videos per week. So 8 or 9 videos a month, very consistently all the way to June 2025, which has 7 videos, but that's not entirely fair because today is the 24th of June. So there's a whole week left, and that'll probably become a 7 or an 8 by the end of the month. So very, very consistently putting out quite a lot of content. If you've watched any of his videos, they're actually quite long. We can have a look at average duration down, where is it? That's title length. Video duration, look, that's 1.5 hours plus. So almost all of his videos are over an hour. So he's putting out a large volume of content, both in terms of number of videos and their duration. And the views that he's getting per video, you can see there's a bit of a lagged effect. You know, he starts in March 2022, doubling his volumes, and then there's a ramping up in average viewership until about middle of 2023, where it sort of peaks out and it flatlines. There's a little bit of a tailing off in the last few months, but that's probably because it's evergreen content. So those views on the videos that were published in April, May, June 2025, there's still views that are going to happen on those videos. So that'll probably rise up a bit, and you won't see that any decline in the views. So yeah, absolutely warranted that he's on the list of top 50. The only question I have is, why was he not there last year, right? Like, his videos for the 12 months before this year were performing very well. He had good, output and subscribers and views, and he probably had good revenues. I don't know what Forbes would have estimated his revenues to be. His entrepreneurship score for last year would have also been good. He's doing a lot of stuff outside of just his one YouTube channel. He's got, other YouTube channels, but he's also bringing in other podcasts into a business that he's created in this space. So I don't know why he wasn't on the list last year, but absolutely warranted that he is on it this year, and not just on it, but on it very high. I wouldn't be surprised if he cracks top 10 next year. So let's see who did crack top 10. So Khaby Lame, 10th position last year and this year. Identical estimated earnings, slight increase in total followers, bit of an increase in average engagement, and the same entrepreneurship score. So yeah, very, very similar ratings by Forbes last year and this year. Drewski made the top 10, was 11th last year and is 9th this year. Only a slight increase in earnings, decent increase in followers, a reduction in average engagement, and cracks a 4 out of 4 for entrepreneurship score both years. Not much to look into in terms of what's changed year on year. Mark Rober drops down 1 point from 7th to 8th. And same earnings, good increase in total followers, slight increase in engagement. I'm surprised by his entrepreneurship score of 3, because he has, a business that he started off the back of his YouTube channel. And, well, I don't know how it's doing, but, it seems to be doing quite well. Matt Rife, he's dropped from 3rd spot to 7th spot, so quite a big-ish drop, all things considered. And a big drop in the face of no reduction in earnings, so 50 million both years. Big increase in total followers, 12 million new followers. Average engagement has dropped, but his entrepreneurship score has increased from 3 to 4. Let's have a look and see if there's anything in his YouTube data. I don't know if YouTube's his primary distribution channel for his content. It'll be interesting to see what's happened. Because I can't quite tell why he's dropped from 3rd to 7th from his actual metrics there. So, so YouTube's not his biggest distribution channel, almost 4 million subscribers, when, total followers is 40 million, so 10% of his total followers are subscribed to him on YouTube. Let's look at the recent period. Okay, it's basically the same. So yeah, getting most of his views from shorts and only a fifth from long form videos. If we look at his long form, we can see a reduction in output, particularly at the beginning of 2025. Seems to be recovering his output volumes per month again. And his average views per long form video, I don't know, they bounce around a bit. Maybe they're slightly lower now than they were last year. But it's shorts where he's getting most of his views from anyway. And yeah, likewise, maybe slightly fewer videos being put out in the sort of last 6 months compared to the long run average. So maybe there's a slight dipping down. But where you see a big dip is in the views per short. So yeah, the last 12 months he's had far lower viewership of shorts, when shorts is making up 80% of his total views. So in the place that matters, he's seen a massive reduction in viewership. So I can see why he's dropped down from 3rd to 7th. But if his viewership is so much lower now than it was last year, why are his earnings exactly the same? Plus his followers have grown by 12 million. Maybe his viewership's just moved to be even less on YouTube. I don't know. Can't really tell what's going on there from the YouTube data. But yes, there is some validity to Forbes's decision to downgrade him from 3rd to 7th. Charli D'Amelio dropped from 4th to 6th. Earnings stayed the same. There's a bit of a theme here. Earnings, if we have a look at these last 5, so the 6th place to 10th place on the top 10 have pretty much constant earnings. The only one that doesn't have the same estimated earnings for 2025 compared to 2024 is Drewski, and that's only increased by 2 million from 12 million. So that's what, 16.7% increase. So a very, very constant set of estimates in terms of earnings. It's surprising. I don't want to question their analytical integrity or anything, but it is surprising that nothing seems to be changing. Okay, so who's next? 5th place is Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper went from 8th, so rose 3 points. Earnings increased by 10 million. Okay, so just as I say, they're all staying the same. We've now got one which has increased quite substantially. Followers trebled almost. Engagement halved, and entrepreneurship score was 4 in both years. So yeah, okay, if earnings have increased by that and followers have trebled, that makes sense that she's risen in the standings. Let's see if there's anything we can see from... The channel's called Call Her Daddy, and she's done, let's look at the whole period, but she's done lots of podcasts with some high-profile people, presidential candidates even. 2/3 of her views come from long-form videos, only 1/3 from shorts. And if we have a look at long-form videos, there's a big gap in the middle here where she didn't publish anything. So maybe she restarted her channel, or using it on YouTube at least, from May 2023, and then ramped up quite substantially in January 2025 in terms of total output of long-form videos. But long-form, yeah, they make up more than her shorts. So I think that could be a significant driver in her gaining in the Forbes rankings. In terms of average views per video, they've also increased. What's interesting is that the videos in 2021 got a lot more views per video than her more recent videos. And her shorts, yeah, she's making a lot more shorts now than she did 2 years ago, but I don't know. I don't know how important shorts are. There are a couple that got some good volumes, but most of them get very low volumes. I think possibly this is an example where her YouTube volumes don't tell the whole story, because if she's got 15 million total followers and grown by almost 10 million, then her 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube aren't telling enough of the story to know what's behind her actual, social media performance and what Forbes is using to do these rankings. But yeah, there is some evidence from her YouTube stats, at least, that she's putting out more content, and that it has grown in popularity, especially in the last 6 months compared to before. Not before in 2021, but before 2 years ago. So who is fourth? Fourth on the list is Rhett and Link. They are the owners of Mythical Studios. Their original channel is called Good Mythical Morning, and they've been doing that for a very, very long time. Let's just look at the last 3 years, because there'll be too much data there for sure. Oh, I've misspelt it. Mythical. I wonder if that's coming up. Sitting here waiting. Good Mythical Morning. While we wait for that data to load, assuming I've spelled it correctly this time, in case you're wondering, this is a Google Sheets tool that I've built. If you want to get YouTube data on your favorite YouTuber, or you're doing strategic analysis for your own YouTube strategy, you can have this Google Sheet for free. In my last video, I'll show you how to download it off of my Google Drive, and it fetches the data from the YouTube server, and so every time you use it, you're getting the very, very latest data. You don't have to pay for that. You don't have to enter credit card details. All you need is a Google account. So if you've got Gmail, or if you're a YouTuber, you've already got a Google account, right? YouTube is a Google product, so you can get the right API to make this all work for yourself. So if you do want this tool, if you think this will be useful for you in terms of understanding what works on YouTube, then yeah, please look at my previous video, and it has a walkthrough on how to access it and set it up. It takes all of 5 minutes to do. Okay, so they've loaded their data, almost 20 million subscribers, In the last 3 years, they've got 1.7 billion views, 2/3 coming from videos, 1/3 from shorts. Their content, their long form videos that they produce is maybe slightly on the increase, probably not statistically significant. Let's just say that they've been constant in terms of how much output they've put out in the last 12 months compared to the 12 months prior, although you do see a reduction in views per video. So maybe there's a little bit of evergreenness that needs to happen to lift up the most recent videos, but the long-term trend does seem to be slightly downhill for Good Mythical Morning. In terms of their shorts, they also have a little flurry in the recent months, maybe increasing their average for the last 12 months over the 12 months prior. And a very inconsistent set of views per short. There's a period from January 2024 to July 2024 when, it looks like they're mostly not performing well. And then in the last 12 months, 10 months, they're doing much better again. So maybe there's some extra revenues coming from shorts in the last 12 months, but I don't know. I think probably what's happening is that Forbes have baked into their numbers other channels that they have, right? So they've got Mythical Kitchen, they have a whole studio. This Mythical is no longer just a single channel, it's a whole business, Mythical Kitchen has been going for a while. I mean, I can load in all the data. And yeah, over 1 billion total views, more shorts than videos, so sort of the opposite to Good Mythical Morning. And I think food content does lend itself well to performance on shorts. If you have a look at their output, over the last 12 months, I think that over the last 24 months, they've increased it compared to before that. But the last 12 months don't look much different to the 12 months prior. So I wouldn't say that they're putting out more long-form content. And the performance on it in the last 12 months is no different to the 12 months prior if you exclude the outliers in January 2024 and July 2023. So yeah, performance seems to be quite similar. Short-form content, yeah, they've increased the outputs recently, but yeah, not really greater performance. So they just seem to be plodding along. So one thing I just wanted to check is I think that Last Meals is better than the Hot Ones. So I want to see if the outliers are Last Meals heavy, because it's just one of the formats in Mythical Kitchen. It's not the only video type that they do. And all of their outliers, their top 10 actually, here's one, Meals of History. Their 7th highest outlier in the whole period is not a Last Meal, but all of the other outliers are Last Meals videos. So obviously there is something magical about that format relative to the other formats. So yeah, I don't know why Rhett and Link have jumped from 9th to 4th. The YouTube data doesn't suggest that 2025 was so much better than 2024. If anything, it's sort of flatlined. That's Mythical Kitchen, but Good Mythical Morning, similarly, nothing special about 2025 in their numbers relative to 2024. So I don't know why they've jumped to 4th place. I mean, their revenue numbers aren't higher, so that makes sense. They've increased the total followers quite substantially. I wonder if it's not that Forbes have increased it by adding other channels. So it's no longer Good Mythical Morning that they're analyzing, but their whole business portfolio within one line here. So that's why it looks like it's increased so much more. I don't know. I don't know why they've jumped from 9 to 4. It seems a bit random. Okay, the first podium finisher in bronze place is Jake Paul, increasing 10 spots from 13th to 3rd, increasing earnings from 13 million to 50 million, 10 million extra, well 9.1 million extra followers, an increase in engagement, and an increase in entrepreneurship score. So increasing across the board and quite substantially, especially with earnings. So yeah, that all adds up as to why he's ranked 3rd. We also know that he had quite a successful little fight with Mike Tyson. Whether the fight was successful or not, I don't know. I'm not a massive boxing fundi, but it certainly did create success for him in terms of media creation, Right, so for the whole period, he's got almost 8 billion total views, only a few coming from shorts, although almost a third of his total uploads are shorts. So there's an asymmetry in terms of volume of shorts versus views from shorts. But 21 million subscribers, really good. His most viewed video, wonder if that's quite an old video. In more recent times, so his most viewed video more recently, in the last 3 years, was his video saying that he's going to fight Mike Tyson. So that's obviously this overlap between his streaming of his fight on Netflix to YouTube, creating a buzz about it and everything. So yeah, that makes sense. What's interesting about Jake Paul is that he hasn't published any long-form video since December 2024. Well, since November 2024 is the last time he published a long-form video on YouTube. I don't follow him that closely, so I didn't realize that. He has published shorts though. Okay, so there are some shorts going out. I mean, maybe he took time out to train for the fight. I have no idea what the story is there. Yes, I wonder if the reason he hasn't jumped up the list isn't because he's getting more views, but because he made a lot of money from the fight with Mike Tyson and has monetized that in multiple ways. Obviously, he has other businesses as well. And so lots of reasons why he might have jumped up, but his YouTube data doesn't suggest a massive increase in viewership for his content. Second on the list is Starman. Let's see what his data looks like in this tool. So he was second last year as well. His revenues have increased by 11 million. Total subscribers increased by 17 million. His engagement has fallen a bit and still 4 out of 4 for his entrepreneurship score. So let's see if we can see anything from his YouTube stats. It does take a few seconds for it to come through. 5 to 10 seconds, maybe 15. So in the last 3 years, he's uploaded 1,000 videos, 1,053, 2/3 long form, 1/3 shorts, and his views are 3/4 long form, 1/4 shorts. And yeah, producing a lot of content. So long form videos per month are sort of over 10 a month. He's looking at about 3 a week, maybe more. Here it's looking like 5 a week. So yeah, ups and downs in terms of the volume, and maybe that's got to do with the holiday cycle, and I don't know, but nothing that looks like last year was different to the year before, both in long form. In short form, it looks like it's dropping down quite substantially. Don't know what that's about, but his short form isn't really his primary driver of views and revenues on YouTube. So you can see up here that it's mainly long form. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, lots of views. Not really much to say from his YouTube data in terms of, staying at 2. He's continuing to perform well on YouTube, so that makes complete sense. And number 1, entirely unsurprising, is Mr. Beast. So let's see his stats on YouTube, just for fun. I don't think there's anything to really say other than it looks like Forbes think his revenue has remained static through the period. His total followers seems a bit low, 634 million. I mean, I say low, I mean it's a ton of followers, obviously. Almost a tenth of the population of the world. But he's got over 400 million on YouTube alone. You can see here 408 million now on YouTube. So to have 634 million across his multiple YouTube channels, right? This is only his main YouTube channel, 408 million. He has multiple channels on YouTube, and he also has other social media accounts. So for those to only come to 230 million, 228 million technically, no, 226 million, feels a little bit light considering he has 408 million on YouTube. But anyway, revenue remains constant over the period with a bit of growth in followers. So let's see if his views are constant as well over the last 12 months. So he's putting out 1 to 2 videos per month. The year before this year, he was putting out slightly more on average. There were months where he was doing 3 videos per month and 1 month where he did 4 videos, December 2023. So there's maybe a slight reduction in his output. And if you look at the views per video, it does seem to trend down, especially in the last few months, last 6 months. But I think that's just because his content is so evergreen that you are going to get quite a long tail to the right when you're looking at his views per video by publication date rather than the views by the date on which the views occurred. So I don't think that his views are declining for his channel, even though it looks like here his video views by publication date looks like it's tapering off. So yeah, and his shorts, it looks like if anything he's producing more shorts than ever, and average views per short, like it looks like the bar's low, but look at the axis, right? These are a lot, 349 million views per short. Like these numbers are big, right? That the left-hand axis is going up to 2 billion because of some super high bars in, what's this, December 2022, 1.5 billion as his average. Maybe it was just one short as well, we don't know. Yeah, look, there's only one short published in December, so whatever that short was, we can go over to the raw data and see what short was. So here's the shorts that they start over here. What short was in December 2022? There it is, the one and only short in December 2022. Would you fly to Paris for a beginner? Oh, that's his most viewed shorts. So if we have a look at his most viewed, there it is, it's this one here. So no wonder his December 2022 shorts bar looks so high. It's because it is high. And so it blows out this axis, and so it looks like these are low numbers, but they're actually super high. And I don't think they're much higher than the year before, though there were 2 months in the 12 months prior to the last year where he did none. So I don't know. Does seem like, if anything, he's maybe maintaining, maybe slightly reducing his output over time, last year versus the year before. So I can see why he hasn't sort of got massive increases in these numbers and it's just maintaining. But when you're maintaining at his level, in the face of much stronger competition entering the market, that's still very, very impressive. So yeah, his YouTube data confirms Forbes's decision to put him at first spot again and maintain these numbers with some slight increases here and there. Makes complete sense. Okay, so this is the Forbes list of the top 50 creators of 2025. It's useful to compare them to 2024, but the thing that will be most useful to most YouTubers is to look at the channels that are relevant to their sector and have a look at them in detail. Where are they on the list? Are they climbing? Are they falling? Why are they climbing? Why are they there in the first place? Have a look at their detailed YouTube data, and yeah, download my free tool. That's what it's there for, but there are lots of tools available for you to look at YouTube data and analysis and understand what's happening in your sector. Why are the most successful channels in your sector performing the way they are performing, and take from that what's useful to you for your YouTube strategy and build out from there. I will say that there are a couple concerning things about this list. The first thing that's concerning is that the numbers don't add up always. Like I said with IShowSpeed, right? It's not immediately apparent to me why he's ranked 42nd. There must be some other factors that Forbes have included in their analysis to get them their rankings, and they just haven't disclosed what those factors are. So take the numbers with a pinch of salt in terms of how they've used them to create the rankings, and also take the numbers with a bit of a pinch of salt in terms of the fact that Forbes are doing this in an imperfect situation. They don't have this data, so they don't know for sure that Matt Graff's revenues were 50 million each year. They know what's in the public domain in terms of big deals that are struck. They have a way to try estimate how much revenue they're generating per view in terms of advertising revenue, but there's a lot that Forbes don't know, and so a lot of these numbers are just their best guess. So take what's on this list with a bit of a pinch of salt. Don't take it too seriously. The other thing that's puzzling is that there aren't any finance or economist channels on this list, or social media personalities, which, you know, I'm an economist, so that's maybe why I find it a little bit odd. But also, we always hear that finance channels have the highest RPM, so why aren't they at least featuring on this list? I guess that they're never going to be as popular as MrBeast, because, you know, talking about finance is never going to be as exciting as an entertainment show. But for instance, to pick on Xandro again, and nothing against Xandro, I don't actually know what they do in terms of their social media, but to have $3 million in earnings for the year seems like something that, you know, any of the bigger finance channels should easily be able to beat. So is it that Forbes have chosen for there to not be any finance channels on this as like one of their unwritten rules, or is it genuinely that there are no finance channels that make more than 3 million a year with, you know, 1.8 million total followers across all platforms? I don't know. I find that hard to believe.